Shatrupa. A very warm welcome to all of you to the third capacity building session of Focus the Northeast Accelerator. As I said, this is the third session in the series, and this time we are focusing on how to develop the content for a pitch deck. And to take you through the session, we are privileged to have among us Mr. Anil Joshi, who is the founder and managing director at Unicorn India Ventures, a leading venture capital fund focusing on early stage investments in tech-focused companies. He has been one of the pioneers of angel investments in India and has been the head of operations and president at Mumbai Angels and Bangalore Angels, leading angel investment forums in India. Anil Joshi's experience includes corporate management functions in medium and large organizations, early stage investment in startups, project management, joint ventures, and business development. He has helped close to over 100 venture financing deals. He serves on the board of 5 companies and is involved with various incubation centers as mentor, as well as in India as well as internationally. Mentoring startups is his passion, and he advises governmental and industrial bodies on the same. Apart from investments, he is an active participant in startup events as speaker, panelist, both in domestic and international circuit. Prior to joining Mumbai Angels, he has headed new projects and investment in startups with Artian Group, a telecom, IT, and energy group. His early career started with heading a branch office at Century Ryan, a leading Indian textile conglomerate, after which he moved to Business Access India Private Limited, providing consulting services to Scandinavian companies from diverse sectors, establishing their presence in the Asian market. Then he moved to Trent Sasia Biomedical Limited, India's largest manufacturer and exporter of biomedical equipment. A very, very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, Shatrupa.
Well, I'm very sure the startups, that this session will help the startups get a very clear picture on structuring your pitch deck better. So let's start the session without any further delay. Edo, sir, it's over to you.
Good afternoon to all. Just one sec, can I share my screen? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Just give me a couple of seconds. You can see my screen?
Yes, it's visible, sir.
One second, I'm just putting it into presentation mode. Is okay now?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, all. And it's a privilege to share some of my learnings with you on raising capital and how to prepare pitch deck. Thanks for having me for this session, third session. So must have, these are the softer points. The span of attention for investor, it's very important to grab it first, 30 to 90 seconds, which we also call elevator pitch. It's very important, while you're reaching, so you can reach to investor either through emails, common connects, there are several platforms. But the span of attention is very short, so you need to be very brief, like one-page summary, and then if it goes ahead, then you can go for detailed summary, PPT presentation, a business plan, and website. Just one second. So the pitch, what it should include, your company name, whatever it is. You can, decide on graphics, pictures, PPT format. I'm mainly focusing here on the content, which you should, have in your presentation. What you have, what you're solving, basically problem you are addressing and how you're solving it. Where are you located? Who are your customers? how many out of and how many, if management is strength, then who you are, profile of key people, especially on founders, and how much you're seeking. Yeah. And it's important when you are part of common elevator pitch. It's important if you can repeat your name and company name in last, because most of the time, since the time allotted would be anywhere between 3 minutes to 10 minutes, depending upon which platform you're using. If it is one-on-one, then doesn't matter much. But if there are 5 or 10 pitches, then investor may not recall your name. So it's important to register your name and company name with investors. What factors are important for investors, right? So industry is very important. Where are you located? Whether your venture have a scalability or not. Stage of business, whether you are at idea stage, concept, growth, expansion. Type of investment structure you're looking, whether you're looking for seed capital, or if you're looking for bridge round, or if you're looking for series A, B, growth capital. That's very important. Type of return on investment for investors, like what kind of return you could envisage for investors, available capital under management. So this is from investors' perspective. These are some of the factors which may be important while you are in talks with investors. So initially talk 20% on product technology and balance time on business. So as I told in the beginning that now the span of attention is very small. Days are gone when you would need 30, 40, 50 slides which would talk about the genesis, history, and future plan for company. You need to be very precise. Typically 15 slides are ideal, but lesser is the better. As far as to begin on your pitch deck and reaching out to investor, it's always good to be precise and brief. That will help you get the maximum attention from investors. These are the points. Typically, I say 11 must-have slides. So this definitely should be there. You can always add a couple of more slides depending upon at what stage or what you would like to highlight. Other than this 11 slides. So first is cover, which is business positioning statement, market, the need and what customer have it, solution, product, core benefit, protected technology. Do you have any IP? What is your competitive position? Who they are and your defense. So basically, when investors look at any venture for investment, the first concern they may have is that what kind of moat you have, what kind of advantage you have over and above your competitor. It could be even for substitute products. The classic example, a coffee lover will always love coffee, but then tea always compete with coffee, right? So those are substitutes. Map it properly as far as competitive position is concerned. Marketing, sales, support, channel and skills. What kind of channel you want to use, whether it is D2C or it is B2B2C or it is B2B, that need to come out clearly. Business strategy, how you plan to grow, beyond launch. Most of the time, we come across pitch deck, where founders are asking for a particular amount, but when you ask about vision or you ask about how or where it will take post funding, sometimes the clarity is not there, which is a big no. So definitely you should map it properly. How much you're raising, for what duration you're raising, and what would be the or what kind of milestones you will reach with this kind of funding. financial projections, though I'm talking about spreadsheet, but typically if you can cover broader points which talks about 3 to 5 years depending upon what kind of industry you are, but it's always advisable to cover at least 3 years, if not 5 years. Funding sort, most of the time people have wonderful presentation, but they miss out what amount they want to raise, what would be the use of amount, whether it will be go for marketing or it will go for product development or it will go for team building. So it's very important to have one slide on that. Management, relevant experience, founder strength, what kind of background they come from, whether there are complementary skill sets or not. If not, then what are the key position you're looking to fill. Then milestone, product launch, next funding, break even, and last not the least is exit strategy, right? What kind of exit strategy envisage for your investors to explore? Will it be IPO? Will it be acquisition? Will it be buyout by strategic investor or new investor? So that's very important. So I'll just go now point by point, slide by slide. If you wish to make note of these points, please make it, and do make note of all your questions which we can take up in the end. So business positioning, position. That's the first slide which will talk about company name. One sentence, what you do, founder's name, and like you can make out the current slide which I have put in is very simple slide, right? But if I wish to grab your attention, if I would have put some pictures or could have used different shades instead of white, then it would have been more appealing. And I kept it very simple for a purpose that you can correlate why I'm saying it. It's very, very, very simple, right? I'm not using any logo, I'm not using any pictorial. That makes it's kind of dull. But since the purpose of my session is knowledge sharing, I can take that liberty. But when you are pitching, it's always important to grab the attention of potential investor from slide one. So if you can use some good pictures or you can use some graphics, it always helps. Second slide is market need and customer. What creates the demand for your solution? So it's very important, right? When you come to this slide, in my perspective, startups are unique company, and they exist only because they are solving some unsolved problems. And it's very important, for you to make it, very appealing, like what problem you're solving, right? Is it local problem? For example, are you only catering to, problems of Northeast, or you are, catering to the problem of East, or you are catering the problem of whole India, or, are this applicable for, whole of, the entire world? So it's very important, to have a clear and very simple problem statement which you are solving. Then like for example, pandemic time, most of the retailers went out of business while they were allowed to open their shop, but customers were not allowed, consumers were not allowed to physically visit stores, and that impacted their business. And then you had so many or host of technology company which enabled mom and pop shop go online and start taking order, and then deliver those to customers' place with the different mode of payment options. So it's very important what problem you're solving and how you're solving, right? What is your solution, right? What methodology or what technology you're using, it's very important to highlight, your solution. Define characteristics of customer that need your solution. Who are your customer, right? Why they want, why, your solution is important for customer. What are they currently using? And, by using your, solution, how it would help, is it for their final consumption, or, they are the enabler for consumer, for final consumption. So it's very important, defining characteristics, because, a direct consumer business would have a different value proposition. B2B2C would have a different proposition. B2C would have, different proposition. So it's very important, right? What problem you're solving, what solution you are, working on, and who's your target audience, right? For example, we have seen a lot of firework in case of education, industry. And, it's very important, which, segment of education you are, exploring. Is it for K10? Is it for K12? Or is it for, smaller kids? Or are you, focusing on, professionals, undergrad? So it's very important, right? So defining characteristics which, you should be able to, share with your potential investors. Quantify the opportunity. It's very important, right? If you're looking for investor, and especially professional money, which is basically talking about, size of industry, the investors will only look at it if it's, very large enough market, right? If you can, show the picture of, very large, market, then investors, will be more excited. If market is small, it is, it is not, difficult, but it's a different kind of investors who may come in, right? So if you're looking for professional money, investors like us, look at opportunity which are, pretty large, and, which can be quickly scaled up because the solution, has been built by you. This is, slide 2. And here also, if you can, explain your product, if it is a physical product, having a picture of your product, always help. People can see it. If it is an in-person meeting, and if it is a product, which you can showcase to investor, it's advisable, right? Carry product. If you are in business of, food tech, and if you come out, with some specific, use case. I saw somebody is there, from drone industry, if carrying 1 or 2 drone, which you can show to investor, it always give a better feeling. Solution your product, clearly explain what it is that the customer is buying. Explain, where your product fits, identify your product's value add, describe, benefit of your solution. So it's very important, to, segment your customer, right? As I told you, during pandemic, most of the, corner shops, had tough time, reaching out to their customers. Each of them adopted to some technology, either it was, through personal connect, or, customers could call them, or, they built, some, WhatsApp stores, or, some app was used. So it's very important whom you're catering to, what, value add you bring on table, and, how would, consumer or customer will benefit with your solution. It's very important. You need to, make it very simple. Why somebody would use it? What's the problem you're solving? Why your, product is unique? Have you built, any IP? Have you filed for any patent? What is the status of patent? The benefit which, consumer can drive, for using your product. example, look at Ola, Uber. The benefit, what consumer, derived by using, product like, Ola and Uber app was, is able to look for, cab which is free and available near me. And, once I, request for a ride, driver is able to see, he can accept. And then once he accept, then, he is shown path to you, he comes to you, pick you up, and then drops you to your destination. So it's very important, what problem you're solving, what is your solution, and what value add, you bring on table. Competition, I had already, said, in the beginning, investors definitely want to look at businesses, which have some proprietary element. If you don't have, any patent, or you haven't filed for patent, or you don't wish to file for a patent, then what proprietariness, you bring on table, so that, there is a reasonable amount of moat, which provides you to stay ahead of your competition, right? Address the barriers to the adoption, right? So if you have done something, so I was speaking to an entrepreneur yesterday, and they had built something, which didn't had any entry barrier. But the only advantage, they had, that they were first mover, and they were, category leader, and that's, made them special, because they were able to scale up fast, right? So you need to, map your competition, who are your competitor, whether it's direct, whether it's indirect, whether it's local, whether it's, national, or whether it is, international. Do you, compete with any specific, sets of customer, clients? That's very important. So, address the barriers to the adoption, explain what the gold standard is now, and what it will take to get customer to use your product. So as we know, there is a, always resistance, for new product and solutions. People have their own comfort zone. I don't think, India would have scaled up fast had not, adopted to, digitization. People who, chose not to, seek or adopt to, new format of business, doing business, they lost, they missed out, and, had to, totally shut their business. But people who adopted to the change, adopted to digitization, where able to, be in business. In fact, they did good business. So you need to, explain what's the gold standard today, and, what, makes you different, from gold standard, or what uniqueness you are bringing on table. What are your barriers to competition? Should you be successful? For example, we all know that Beju is a very successful company, not only in terms of, the traction they have, but also in terms of, the multiple round of investment they have scored in, right? If today anybody, want to get into that space, we know that, Beju is, well capitalized, well funded company, and they also have, very interesting and robust product. Unless until I come up with a product which is far superior, and muscles to, fight, in market, through, spending on marketing, it will be difficult for anybody to, get the, or, compete with Beju. So you definitely need to, identify who are your competitor, and, what makes you special, so that, even if there are, multiple bidder, you would be the preferred, partner, business partner, wherever competition is concerned. So, please, spend good time. Most of the time we hear that, we are unique, we don't have any competition. But that is, not possible because consumer is using something today, right? You are not replacing something, but you are, add on, or even if you're replacing, then there is a competition. So do spend time, map it, whether it's a direct competition or, it's in a substitute, and how do, you and your solution, make it more, appealing to investor from the perspective size of the market. How do you compete with investors? With competitor? Do you have any, patent or proprietary technology? Please highlight, those all aspect, under competition slide. This is very important, right? In today's digital world, even if you have physical product, you do need to reach out to your consumer, especially when, there are still restrictions, on movement. We all know that, we are, subject to, new corona variant, and, all government across world, are developing their strategy to see that it doesn't become, widespread, disease like it was in, wave 2. So, you definitely need to, explain your sales cycle. How do you propose to reach out to your customer, whether it will be, D2C. When I say D2C, direct to consumer, either through, platforms which offer, companies to reach out directly, or you wish to have your own app, or you wish to, do through some platforms, or you want to do through, your own website. So, you need to be very clear, how you want to reach out to customer, whether it will be through, a normal traditional channel, distributor, retailer, wholesaler, or, it is direct to consumer, or you wish to go through, business to consumer. So there are, various, way, you can reach out to your customer. Whatever way you use, whatever, path you wish, you need to, define it clearly. Describe your process of marketing and sales and support, right? How do you, wish to reach to your consumer? Does, your product needs, regular sales and service support to your consumer? And if so, then, what are your plans to do that? Have, clear roadmap laid out, around, marketing, whether you wish to do direct or, indirect. Today, if you go, D2C, of course, there are, several, plugins available which you can use, like Shopify. There are, various, tools which help you promote on Facebook, which help you promote on, Instagram, or which you can, help in creating your own e-commerce store. So you, need to, be very clear what path you want to choose, why you are choosing it, and, what's the roadmap you're going to follow. So be very clear. Most of the time you miss out on this, and, then it actually confuses consumer or potential investor that, how you will reach out to your potential customer. Business strategy, as I told in the beginning, it's advisable to, do 5, but anything between 3 to 5 years, what are your goals? How do you see your company, from now, by end of 5th year, how it will be progressing, how many stages of funding you will go through that, whether, the funding you're raising will be sufficient, for you to achieve your goals, or you would need multiple business, funding, to fund your business, how you will be progressing in terms of sales, when are you achieving your break even, when you will be profitable, that's, how you need to build your business plan. Identify steps to reach that goal. Most of the time people say, let's say I'm in Bangalore, I have built, global product, but I still, want to first, focus on Bangalore. Depending upon the learnings from Bangalore, I would, wish to look at, much larger market. It could be at state level or it could be at national level. So, the step-by-step approach you wish to follow, you may want to go directly to customers initially. Once accepted, you want to set up a distribution channel, you want to, have retailers, or you may want to do, your own stores. Like for example, Big Basket, initially they started, as direct to, consumer, approach. Now they are also going, on physical stores, right? So you need to, define trigger points. You need to, define your business goals, clearly. Explain what you need to achieve positive cash flow and how long it will take you to go there. Very important, right? You may, choose to be, in losses in lieu of, growth. That's fine. We all know, Paytm got listed and they clearly said that, they are not certain, when they are going to be cash positive, but they're raising money because, they have sufficient customer base, around 300 million people are there on their platform, and that's what make them special. So you need to be very clear post fundraise how much you will be burning, what kind of losses you will be incurring, and which year you will have break even. That will give customer, your potential investor a clear path to growth. So please work on and have mentioned in your slide key steps, milestone, in Gantt chart. It's always good to, have graphical representation that people can see how you're progressing from, on year-on basis. And identify major developmental risk, to give example, look at fintechs, right? We all know today India is, one country which are coming out very interesting solution, which are not only applicable to India, but also can be used across world. So it's very important to highlight the risk you may carry with your solution. For example, spoke about fintech. Will RBI permission is needed, or do you need approval from regulatory authorities? You need to map out what are the risk, and please highlight on it. Financial projections, keep the financials simple. Don't put entire balance sheet and profit and loss. Be very precise on this slide. What kind of metrics you're using, whether product sale or it's service as a sale, or it is a platform as a sale. How many customers you want to reach here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that will translate into what kind of revenue, what are the major heads on expenses. You can cover that, and then you can arrive at a indicative profit and loss statement. So do keep your financials simple. Don't clutter it with too many data. Explain any dramatic number, unit shape, revenue. For example, you may be working on technical product, which may not give you good traction year 1, year 2, but once your product is launched completely nationally, internationally, you may see surge in your traction in year 3. So certainly highlight it. Why? What's the trigger? What are the gross profit? What's the gross profit margin? What kind of expenses you would have, sales and marketing, what is your net pre-tax, what kind of cash flow. It's very important to understand the cash flow, because you may be good to raise your seed capital, but after seed capital you may find it tough to raise, or you will keep on raising. There are companies which are raising money every 3, 4, 5 months, and they are today unicorns of India, mainly because of the potential they had been able to establish with their potential investors. So have those figures in handy when you are making slides or pitching to investors. Funding sort, I have already told you keep a slide, how much money you are looking to raise, what kind of dilution you already had, is it solely or, collectively owned by founders? Do you have any ESOP? The money which you want to raise, what kind of dilution you want to have, whether it is 10%, whether it is 5%, or whether it is 20%, you need to, indicate your, expectations, on valuation. And then it's very important. Let's say, I believe you all are, early stage companies, which may look to raise anywhere around $500,000 to, couple of $1 million. It's very important, to highlight, what you will be using for, right? This money, what you're raising, how many months it will last, what kind of milestone you will use, whether it will be used for business promotion, whether it will be used for team building, whether you use for, technology upgradation, whether you want to use it, only for, business promotion, clearly indicate that. Then, it's very important to highlight, what kind of burn rate you'll have. Burn rate is basically, revenue minus expenses. If it is positive, no need to worry. But if it is negative, then that clearly establishes the kind of funding you would need, on annualized basis or on biannualized basis. To give you example, let's say per month, your sales is, 10 lakh, which is growing at a, steady, percent of around 10-20%. And the expenses today you are incurring, to, do this 10 lakh sale a month is, let's say 30 lakh. So 10 lakh is the revenue, expenses 30 lakh, whatever may come, you need to have a buffer of 20 lakh so that, you can, have a, gross break even. It's very important to understand, what kind of, money you would be spending and how long, it will be, available to you for use. And here, nowadays there is a very interesting concept, especially for growth company, where they raise, at least 80 to 85%, as equity capital, and balance, 1.5 to 2%, they may raise as a debt. So, you need to define, whether you will be raising, capital, on your balance sheet, or you will be raising, debt, which will, hit on your, P&L. Management, though I have kept it, as a 9th slide, but I would recommend if you can keep this, among top 2-3 slides, highlighting, the strength of, founders, what kind of education background they come from, what kind of, experience they have or knowledge they have, on an industry they are, working on. Do you have done, any other, venture in past, successful, unsuccessful, doesn't matter, but do highlight, because that helps in establishing the entrepreneurial experience you have. Number of founders, please have, their profile briefly. It is suggested, do with pictures, and then also highlight, couple of key position, at least 3, maybe CFO, maybe CMO, maybe tech guys. It's very important for investors to, have access and knowledge about, on your management. Whether it's full-time, part-time, who are your board of, directors, advisor, it's very important, right? It gets, different level of comfort if you have good advisors on board. If not, doesn't matter, but if you have advisors, to highlight them. Milestone, basically these slides talk about, when did you started, what kind of, milestone you have achieved. You can basically make it, quarterly or half yearly basis if you have a number of, more number of years to showcase. But if it is, just beginning, then, you certainly should highlight, team building could be one milestone, product development could be one second milestone, getting it tested with potential customer could be another, milestone. If you have raised, previous round, to highlight that we have raised, money in past, how much money you're raising and when you will be raising. So it's very important to have one graphical representation, on your milestones and how it will look like, once you sort of funding and in how many months. And exit strategy, of course, I have spoken about, it could be IPO, it could be acquisition, it could be management buyout, but at least give a thought through that if you're raising money, your investor is investing in, money in your company with a hope that, in future they can sell their stock and, have, return on their capital. And most importantly, never hide behind the technology, use it to advance and enhance, what you have. Investors want to meet you, not your cool technology, scalability of business, do show, promising, market which you are, catering to. Raising money takes time, so start early, go everywhere, attend often, see and be seen, don't be out of, eyes, try to build your network, have relationship, which can help you connect to right investors, be prepared, always think, on your feet. This is a typical, venture deal cycle, it takes, 2 to 4 weeks, to get term sheet. It takes, 1 to 2 weeks, to negotiate term sheet. Once term sheet is signed, it may take anywhere between 30 to 60 days, on diligence, documentation signing, and then you finally close. In my view, the funding round can happen anywhere between 15 days to 90 days. Sometime it may go up to 6 months, depending on the, complexity of the deal. But on average, companies get funded from the day of term sheet till time money comes in bank. I think anywhere between 60 to 90 days. Venture deal, customary transaction document. These are the, some of the documents, you may, come across, which is, purchase agreement. We call it, share purchase agreement, amended and restated certificate of corporation, investors' right agreement, right of first refusal. These are, some of the terminology, you will see, in agreement, and co-sale agreement, key employee employment agreement. If you have, any intellectual property assignment agreement, because most of the time IPs are, registered in name of individual, but once, investments come in, investor would want you to transfer IPs which are in your name, in name of company, and who are, your board member and shareholder resolutions. These are some of the terms, important terms on, venture capital. Of course, I've kept it because it's very important, just knowing on pitch deck. I think that it's important to know the process as well. Pre-money valuation is the one at which you raise the money. When we say post-money, it's basically, pre-money plus money being infused in the company. Reverse vesting of founder stock, mandatory minimum employment period, funding model, one payment or multiple. Nowadays, people have started doing multiple tranches, but normally it's one. But depending upon the funding requirement, and if there are some milestones, people may link payment funding model to multiple tranches. Liquidation preference and redemption is basically to protect investors' interest whenever there is sale opportunity. Board composition, investors, if they're putting reasonable or substantial amount, they definitely would want to have 1 or 2 board position in company. Conversion and anti-dilution protection. If there are any down rounds, investor will definitely want to protect their down round. So be reasonably priced. Otherwise, you will find it difficult to have investors, negotiating on those terms, and then investors' right, which basically is a laundry list talking about, what rights investors will have other than being on board of your company. Successful fundraising. So these are the slides. I want you to now, have more interactive session so that we can utilize the time, clearing your doubts. But these are the, important points which you should certainly cover in your deck. So this is, I wanted to share with you all. I would, request for a, couple of minutes break. I'll quickly come from washroom. In meantime, please make note of all your questions and we can have an interactive session. Hey, sorry guys, I'm back. Thanks allowing me to have a short break. So Trupa, how do we go about? Would you like everybody?
Yes. Maybe I hope the startups are ready with their questions. So anybody who would volunteer to ask the first question? Anyone out there?
Maybe if you can also, allow them to open up their video.
Yes.
I can see who's asking. Yes. And one suggestion, please, if you can quickly give me, your brief profile also, who you are, which company, and where are you based, and then your question.
All right, then. So who is going to volunteer first?
And how much time we have?
We have half an hour more to go.
So we are on track, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone out there? Or should I take the names?
So suggestion, Satrupa,
yes.
How many startups are there on this, session now?
There's supposed to be 12, but Sanju, how many startups are there for now?
So anyway, you may be knowing, I think it's only eight,
around
right?
8, yes.
And then we will be also having a physical session with each of them. So, it will be, you can each, briefly tell about you, and you have any point which you wish to, know more about, happy to, address it. I think we have, time scheduled to catch up in couple of weeks. But it is important for you all to, have a clarity, on points, because objective is to, make you pitch ready. Then, it all depends upon, how you approach, whom you approach. But it should be, clear enough for you to take benefit from this session. So, I would encourage if you can, share about you in 1 or 2 lines, and then if you have any concern or if you need any clarification on any point, would be happy to share my knowledge.
Definitely. So this is like, you don't get such opportunities very often. So I would request the startups to make the most of this opportunity. Please come forward, introduce yourself, and then throw the questions that's concerning you. Please go ahead. I think someone from Breathe Clinic, right? Someone from Breathe Clinic. Nihar, yeah, okay. Yes, Bhanuji, I can see you. Nihar, do you have any question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Please go ahead. Introduce yourself first.
Good evening, sir. I am Dr. Nihar Deka. I am the founder of Breathe Clinic. We make a lung care affordable and accessible through our omnichannel platforms. I just have one question. You have said about exit strategy. Because we have newly formed our company, as such we don't have any exit strategy. Plus, since we have built this company, so we don't want to exit from this company. So what should we tell investor about it?
So here, exit is not for you. Exit is for investor. Typically, investor will invest, with a time horizon of around 4 to 7, 8 years. And there would be some investors who would be comfortable even staying invested, more than 10 years. But normally, keep in mind that, investors would start expecting, witnessing the opportunities where they can sell their share, right? And they can share only if, there is somebody else who can, come and buy. So, exit strategy could be either way of going IPO, but practically IPO can happen only after, at least 10 to 8 years, right? So what are the exit opportunities is basically, new round of, investor, or, strategic investor, or, PE investing, or there could be, company might itself generate so much cash that, they can buy out, investors, right? So you need to think around from those perspectives that once you raise money, where your company would be in time of, 4 to 5 years, and what kind of, investors can come in and buy out the existing investors, right? If you don't have exit strategy, it will be difficult to raise money. But this exit is not for you. The exit is for investor. But one clarification I would like to state here, that, it may so happen that, there may be a strategic buyer who may want to buy entire company. In that case, you may be required to sell your share as well, right? So today, there are several avenues for you to raise money. One of the avenue is money through, venture capital, and if they are investing in, they will definitely want to, look for exit, right?
Okay.
I hope it's clear.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
You said you are in what business?
We are in healthcare business. We are a startup focusing on lung care.
Lung cancer.
Lung care, yes. Lung cancer is also included there.
Okay.
Basically, we are in lung care part of the medical specialties.
Okay. Good. Best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Nihar. So is there anyone else?
Hello, sir. This is Karma here.
Hello, Karma. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, sir. I'm from Argus Travels. We're a startup based in Sikkim. We work with mostly with homestays and alternate accommodation in Sikkim and Northeast India, and something similar to Airbnb, but we also do tours. And unlike them, we actually verify all the properties, visit all the places, and then we put it up on our website. So we are looking at scaling that into different parts of non-metros. I think I won't say rural only, but non-metros India. I think one of the questions we always face and one problem we have is that in terms of defining the market size, as you had mentioned, I think in the presentation also, that the investors would want to see a big market that they want to invest in. But in this case, when we do research also, right, and when we try and see what is the market size that we're targeting, we always get stuck in that. So I just thought if you could help us, how do we go about that?
So, Karma, if you don't have statistics which you can use, you build statistics based on some hypothesis, right? Okay. I'll give you an example. Let's talk about Sikkim, right?
Yes.
And let's say the annual, inflow of tourists in Sikkim, let's say it is 1 lakh, for example, right?
Yes.
And you are saying that I cater to a specific segment, which will probably help increasing this 1 lakh to 1.2 lakh one. Okay. Secondly, I want to capture 20% of this market only of Sikkim.
Okay.
Right. And this way, then you extrapolate other, places, whether it is non-metro or tier 2, tier 3, whatever, or rural or, semi-metro. And then you arrive a figure which will define your market.
Okay,
right?
Okay.
So you need to build a hypothesis, and that hypothesis will become your, genesis for arriving at a market size.
Okay, sure. So that we
right?
can.
So if something is non-existence, then you have to, have, some, hypothesis, and that hypothesis will help you, right?
Okay. Sure,
and for example, I'll give you Goa, right? Look at Goa. Yes. Goa earlier, was very central to, international tourists.
Yes.
And, very few, Indians would visit because, it was not too opened up. And there were not many, accommodations available. But then government, I think in mid 80s or 80s, opened up for others to own a property in Goa. So then people came up, they acquired the places, they built properties, and that then they started, putting on, use for tourists, and that opened up market, for other, class of tourists. So earlier, the tourist season in Goa was only for 6 months, right? When it would snow in Europe or countries where people cannot move out of their country, they would come to India because it was cheap, and it was providing them a runaway from their colder countries.
Yes.
Right. Yes. But then Goa got developed as a tourist center. So not only you see foreign tourists, but you have host of Indian tourists also coming in.
Yes.
Right. So you have to use hypothesis and have a reasonable defending points for your hypothesis, right?
Okay. Yes.
So you already have some use cases in Sikkim, and say this is what I want to replicate into other metros.
Okay.
Non-metros.
Non-metros. Sure. Thank you.
Good catching up, and hope to visit sometime Sikkim as well.
Definitely, sir. That will be great. Thank you.
Best of luck.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Ma'am, I want to go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, sir. This is Ritesh from Drone Tech Lab. We are a system integrator in the field of drones. So we basically deploy drones in all areas of humans that you can find as dull, dirty, or dangerous. So you mentioned about one thing that during the fundraise only in the pitch deck, you should be very clear about what is the purpose of fundraise, whether developing the technology or stuff like that. So if we mention that the funds will be coolly used for the upgradation of the technology or for properly, or maybe a better version of the product, how do we show the growth percentage? If a product has not been developed, So how do you correlate? There can be some products of ours which are already into market, which are being used by our customers. And there might be some products which need a little bit of upgradation. And number three, there can be some products which requires a completely revamp of development.
So Ritesh, I'll give you a simple example. I believe you're an engineer, right?
My co-founder is an engineer, sir. I'm more on the
management. So I will give you a very simple example.
Right.
Let's say, I don't know if you can see, this cup, what I'm holding in my hand, right? Or maybe let me give you, this is another cup, which I'm holding in my hand, right? This is a final product, right? Let's say you have conceptualized a product which will look like this, right? Now what we'll need, it will need designing, it will need, raw material to make it, so first you will make it a prototype, which could be made out of, plywood, wood, some metal, right? You will make a functional prototype, right? Let's say from idea or concept stage to this prototype will take, let's say 6 months, right? Then you will do a month's testing, and then you will come up with an upgraded version 1 after prototype, post your feedback, which will take another 2 months, right? So you come from 6 months plus to 8 months, and after that you will come with a real, market ready product, which may take another 3 months because you have to do mold, this, that, right? So at least I know the timeline from day 0 till, let's say 9 or 10 months. That's how you will define that after getting funding, I will be able to come out with prototype in 6 months. After prototype, I should be able to, come out with a version 1 in 2 months. And after that, I will be able to come out with, a market fit ready product in 2-3 months. And that's how you define, that's how you, so you maybe your partner who's an engineer, we said get Gantt chart, right? Or you can have PERT chart, right? Which can define, month-wise, progress. And that's how you report, right? It could be developed, like whatever you have to define your milestone. This is what I will achieve month to month, and my final goal will be achieved in this so many months. And that's what you start monitoring. Once your product is ready, then you start measuring, the sales output, right?
Sales output. Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Best of luck.
Anyone else? So I think we have around 7 to 8 startups joining in, only 3 questions coming in.
So if you don't have more questions, I will share, some more aspects, and you guys can please feel free to interrupt me. We still have, 10-15 minutes left. So
right.
Some of the, I don't know if we have 7-8 startups today, on this session. Is any startup which is still in formation mode or just as a proprietary concern, is there anybody in forum, with that status? Or if anybody, which is just an LLP or partnership? Do we have any startup, which may be proprietor, which may be partnership, or which may be LLP? Or all startups are private limited?
Sir, good evening. I am from Northeast Farm Sales Promotion, and we are an LLP in the process of conversion to a private limited.
Okay, good. Anybody else who or everyone is private limited?
All the airports are limited. So we are private limited.
Others? Anybody partnership, LLP, or proprietary?
Sir, this from Nagaland is also like under proprietorship, and then like we're planning to transition it to private limited.
Okay. So this is very important factor. normally I keep one slide also, when I'm taking this kind of session, that if you're looking to raise money, from investors, it's very important to, convert your organization to private limited. Proprietorship, anyway, by nature, it's a proprietorship, so you can't, raise equity money. So it's a, ruled out. Even in partnership, it's a partnership. Investors never will be partner, in your venture. So that is also ruled out. And similarly, it is true for LLP as well. So if you guys are looking to raise money, please, convert your proprietorship or, partnership or, LLP to a private limited company. Before you approach investor, it's very important to, have a proper structure, which you can, present to investors. So if you are in proprietorship or partnership or LLP, please go and convert it to private limited. Any of you are looking to raise debt money, debt funding?
Yes, sir. This is Karma here from Sikkim. So we are looking to raise debt money from another another body, financial body also that we're talking to.
So if you're looking to raise debt money, what I shared is more from equity perspective, right? Because here you are selling your vision, your concept, your future strategy. Whereas debt money is normally raised, for short-term capital, long-term. Short-term is working capital, right? And long-term is basically, let's say, you want to, just an example, let's say you want to buy, 50 computers and software, which may need, a funding of around 50 odd lakhs. But this is, not a working capital. It's basically a capex, right, which you will amortize. Or so there you will need long-term debt, which is, to finance your capex. But there, you need a different kind of presentation, right? Though they will also need a basic profile of the company, but in debt funding, you need more, financial working than compared to equity funding, right? In equity, we are talking about strategies, we are talking about business plan, whereas in debt funding, you need, real numbers, which you can showcase to, potential debt, financer, so that, they can fund your requirement.
Sure.
Right. So please look at, there will be different format for debt funding.
Sure. So I wanted to ask about valuation also. What methodology do you use generally for valuing company?
So there are, several methods. Though people may disagree with me that it's science, it's an art. Karma, it's, in my view, it's more an art, right? Because there is no rationale when there is, companies only at idea stage, or a product stage, or, few customers. It's more an art. And then as you grow, it is linked to, cash flow, discounted cash flow, or you can use PE multiple. Till time you go IPO, it is more an art, and your ability to show scale, right? But early stage, normally company get valued nowadays, anywhere between $1 million to, couple of $1 million, depending upon the, uniqueness of solution they are building on.
Okay. Yeah. We were thinking of 10x. I think that was the thing that we had in mind, like sales into 10x.
So Karma, it could be 10x, but it depends. What is what is X, right? 10 could be one, but is it X is your profit, or X is your revenue, or X is your customer base, right? So it's very important to have carefully selected what is X, right? Then you can definitely work on it. Normally it depends. If you're in consumer segment, then you get classified, how many consumer you have, and then you value each consumer. Okay. And then you multiply it by a factor.
Okay.
Right? So valuation, it depends, industry, sector. For example, you would agree with me that tourism currently, is considered, a kind of negative list because, there are so many restrictions, right? Just 3 days back, there was a free movement, but now we have, this new variant of, Corona, which has made all state government or even, different countries to, restrict their borders, right? So it all depends, on socio-economic factor, environmental factor, political factor, even, this pandemic, endemic, right? So it depends, when you're raising, you need to look at all these factors and then you can arrive at a number.
Oh, Joseph, thank you.
We have another, 4 or 5 minutes if anybody want to ask anything.
Sir, I have a question, sir. We have already raised a debt funding of 50 lakhs INR. We are looking for equity funding, sir. So will it become complicated now? Previously it was debt, now equity.
So you raised debt funding from where?
It's a net fee, Northeast Development Finance Corporation. That is a debt funding.
So normally when investor invest, they would have a clause which will restrict you to retire your debt. So the equity money, you cannot use it, for retiring debt. But there should not be a problem.
Okay,
nowadays it's very common, you having both the debt and equity on your table, right?
Okay, so can you, sir, just highlight on revenue-based financing? I've heard this term a lot of times.
Revenue-based financing is basically, what is your monthly revenue?
It's around 7 to 8 lakhs per month.
And it's a recurring or it's a new business every day?
Yes, we have been in the business for the last 1 year.
No, I mean to say,
it's
recurring
or increasing. Yes, it's recurring business.
Right. So let's say for simplicity, I will say, let's say your revenue is 10 lakh a month. So annualized, you can earn up to around 1.2 crore. Right.
Okay.
So revenue-based financing means this 1.2 crore I will discount, and I will give you that money upfront. So I may finance, let's say I may finance you 1 crore, 5 lakhs against your earnings. Right. So the entire 1.2 crore I'll have, but you will get your 1 crore, 5 lakhs, very much in the beginning. Right. So you can use that money, for more business promotion, taking care of your requirements. So that's how, revenue-based funding is,
So we don't have to. We don't have to dilute the equity then in this model.
This is basically discounting your cash flow.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Any other startup who want to discuss?
I think it's almost time. We can take one last question. Anybody out there? Well, if not, I think we are good to conclude the session for today.
1 second, there is, okay, it's guide us with respect to valuation. We already spoken. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, no more questions.
Okay,
then we can wind here.
Yes, we can wind here. So thank you so much, sir, for taking out your time to walk the startups to this very important session. I mean, we have seen so many startups, with promising offerings, fretting over building a good pitch deck. I'm sure today's session has come as a relief for the startups and given them a fair idea about how to structure their pitch decks better. Anil Joshi, sir, thank you so much once again for this session. And thank you everyone for attending the session. Have a great week ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And wish you all luck.
Thank you, sir.